So this is what all the bundles look like before I put any color to them. This is the 27 blonde with the dark roots, and this is a 613 blonde closure from Maven. And these are all 20 inches with an 18-inch closure. So first you want to just make sure that everything is thoroughly combed out. So once you have your hair thoroughly combed out and it's folded in half, your entire width, then you can start with your first color. So I'm just gonna take my 2-section bowl and start with my first color, which is gonna be the Platinum 150 by Adore. Wear your protective gloves. So since I want the majority of the bundle to be mostly gray, we're gonna start from the top, from the black color all the way until midway, and then I'm gonna show you how to perfectly blend it from one color to the next color. So since I'm starting at the top, I'll keep my bowl here at the top because you don't want to accidentally drip color down on the ends, so you don't want that color to be. And it's okay if the color kind of comes down like this because that'll help later when we start to blend. So don't panic if it gets all down here. And you really want to make sure you take the color from the black to the blonde and not just start at the blonde, because you might miss a spot and then it'll leave you a really ugly blonde band across your head, and you don't want that. And now at the bottom of the bundle, I'm just gonna lightly take brush strokes and just lightly swipe the brush across like that, just to fan the color down a little bit. Because when we start our next color, we're gonna start it about in here, so it'll be nice to kind of just lightly brush without giving it too much thought. So now that we've completely covered the top part of the bundle, we're gonna flip the whole entire weft over and repeat the same process just like we did on the other side. So now with the rest of the color in our bowl, we're just gonna leave that for a second, and you wanna take the wider side of the comb and comb down the hair, just to make sure that the product is seeped all the way through. And then with the rest of the color, you can apply in the spaces that need more attention. So now taking our brush vertically, we're gonna hold the top of the weft and just go down to basically comb through the hair with the brush to get the color through to the other side. So now that we've done the front side and the back side of the hair, we now have to turn it inside out and repeat the same process. The reason why we do this is because you really don't want to miss any spots, you guys. I can't tell you how often I see girls with missing spots in their head with, you know, if I rinse this out, you would see blonde hair, and we want it gray. So you have to turn the bundle inside out and flip it over and do the same exact process. So now that it's inside out, I'm now on my second bottle of Adore, so I'm just gonna pour this in my mixing bowl. What I'm gonna do now, just because I can see that it's creating a little bit of gap between the hair and the paper, so a nice trick that I like to do is I'll take the bundle and fold it in half. And then that way, whatever I put down is more likely to be on the hair instead of on the surface that you're coloring on. Flip that inside out and repeat. You can do a little trick with the brush, like fanning it out like that, just to see if you may have missed any spots. If it feels a little too chunky in the area that you're putting on, it's really nice to just spread it out, pat it out just like that, spread it out so you can see. So now that we're done, we're going to start with the next color. The next color is going to be Fiesta Fuchsia in 83 by Adore. And we're going to start with a fresh clean brush for this. So we're going to take the color and start overlapping a little bit on the gray hair. And then you want to just lightly stroke it up through the other color using vertical strokes. Overlapping on the other color is really just going to create a smoother transition between all the colors. So keep that in mind. Allow yourself enough space to blend and get the colors that you want in the areas you want. So you see this really hard line here? That is no bueno. You do not want harsh lines in your color job, so just taking vertical strokes, you're just going to flick it down. You don't want to press into it because you don't really want the main color to be in the next section. Just lightly flick the color so it kind of fades out and doesn't leave a harsh line. So now I'm just going to flip the bundle over and start the same process. Alright, so now taking color, I'm just gonna flick it up. So now we're going to flip the bundle inside out so we can get the other side and really thoroughly saturate the hair with the hair color. So taking a clean comb, you just want to straighten out the ends a little bit. So now taking a new mixing bowl and a new color, we're going to use the Neon Pink in 140 by Adore. And taking a new brush and the Neon Pink all the way to the ends. So with a brighter color, you really want to start from the bottom and work your way up because you don't want to bleed any of the darker color into your section until after your product is all the way fully saturated on the hair. So taking all the ends and clumping them together just because it's a little bit thinner. So you want to clump it all together so you don't waste any of your color on your protective area. So now taking our Neon Pink and flicking it upward into the color before. Be really generous with your color. Not having enough color will make your hair have a lot of missing spots. Now flip the bundle over. I'm just gonna take some of this leftover gray color and apply it to the top, just to reassure that the color is gonna be there. Don't wanna take a chance because it takes a lot of work. Now, it's time to comb through the bundle and really just make sure that everything is all saturated and nice. So we're gonna fold this now in half. Starting with the wider side of the comb, group all the hairs together and just comb through the hair. This will also help with blending. Comb through lightly. So now we're just gonna let this process for maybe 2 hours, only because this is hair extensions, and with hair extensions it's really hard for the color to take most times. So the longer you leave it, the better, especially with the rinses, because the rinses are really temporary. So there's no real processing time, so the longer you leave it, the more saturated your hair color will be. So just repeat this same exact process through the rest of the bundles, and I'll show you guys what it looks like when it's done. Okay, so now that we've completely dyed the bundles, we're going to move on to the closure. Now this is a 613 blonde closure, and since the rest of the bundles have black roots, we're going to need to dye the roots black and then continue on to our gray to pinkish red colors. So I'm just going to show you what colors I'm going to mix up to get the black, because I'm not going to use the Adore. So I'm going to be using Wella Color Touch in 2 stroke 0, and that means it is the darkest color, which would be dark brown. So with Wella's semi-permanent colors, you have to mix 1 to 2. So in this bowl is 2 ounces of color, which means I'm going to measure out 4 ounces of developer. For the developer, I'm going to be using 6 volume or 1.9% by Color Touch, which is the same brand. Now we just thoroughly mix the color. Okay, so we're going to have to be really, really careful and really, really fast, because semi-permanent color with Wella oxidizes pretty fast, and you want to make sure it oxidizes on the hair. So I've taped my closure down to the paper. And starting from one side, I'm going to just section it out. So now that the roots are processing to be black, I'm now going to put the gray hair color on there. And don't worry about this color that you see, because this will give a really nice transition to each color. So all these black streaks will help it not to look like such a straight line. So don't panic if you get the black on anything else, it's okay. Okay, so now I'm gonna take the bulk of one side of the closure and apply the gray hair color, which is the Adore in Platinum. And I'm gonna clump it all together and just comb through the hair. You really wanna make sure you have extra color on the brush when you're applying so close to the black color, just so that the silver can dominate the black hair color when saturating the hair strands. So spreading it out, really making sure you're getting it with a lot of the gray color. Make sure everything is covered. And then we just want to lift it up. See all that? You do not want to miss that at all. So just taking this in your hands and mixing it all in together. Really making sure you're thoroughly saturating all of the hair strands, because you're going to be really upset if you rinse it out and you have blonde spots in your hair. Not cool. So much for taping my closure down. It might work better with a clip against the edge of a table, or if you have T-pins and a mannequin head, that would be so perfect. But be careful with the mannequin head. You may want to cover it with a plastic bag and then stick the T-pins in, so you don't ruin your mannequin head. We're only going to use a piece of the closure, so I'll probably just take out the best parts. See how nice that transition is? It's going to blend really, really well, and there will be no harsh lines, so that's perfect. Alright, so we're done saturating all of the hair. See, I'm looking through it, and I don't see any strands uncolored. Do the same thing on the other side before you move on. Really check your color. You want to take your time, because it takes a lot of time, and if you don't get it right, you're going to be really upset. So just do it right the first time. So, boom. Now I'm going to be using Fiesta Fuchsia in Adore, and I'm just going to stop all of this color on the ends. Alright, so the semi-permanent needs to process for at least 20 to 30 minutes. But like I said before when I was doing the bundles, I'm gonna leave this on for 2 hours. So luckily it's semi-permanent, so it won't harm the color too much. So we should be fine. I'm just gonna leave this on for 2 hours and then rinse it out. And I'll show you guys the finished result.